Hi. Hi, everyone. Hi, my name is Alyssa Luna, and I am an admissions counselor with IUPUI. So, I'm going to be talking to you today about our campus and some of our programs. And then I have my colleague with me here today also, Alice. So, Alice, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
All right, good evening. My name is Alice Matuk. I'm one of the senior admissions counselors here at IUPUI. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thank you. So I see we have a couple of you from Carmel, Indiana, and Avon and Franklin. See some of you from out of state, Illinois, and Detroit. So I'm glad that you were all able to join us today. So just going to go ahead and jump right in. It says, is there an application deadline? Alice, do you want to take that first one?
Okay, sure, yeah. So in terms of our application, we did just launch that for our seniors in August. And just some key deadlines to keep in mind is, if students are interested in applying to the Honors College that requires a 3.75 GPA or higher, students do need to be admitted to IUPUI first, and that takes about 4 weeks for a decision to be made, and then turn around and submit that Honors College application and materials by November 15th. Some other key deadline dates would be like competitive-based scholarships that have February 15th deadline date. So the earlier you apply, the sooner that you can get a decision from us so that you can take your next steps in terms of applying for scholarship opportunities.
It's great. It's a great answer. And as you mentioned, all the scholarship deadlines. So those are really important. So make sure you pay attention to, when our scholarships are due, as well as, the application, to IUPUI for admissions. Another question is, do you have to submit test scores if you apply or when you apply? And the answer to that is we are test optional. So that means it is up to you if you want to submit test scores to us or not. What we do require is our application. So you want to use we are on 2 different platforms, so the Common App and Apply IU. We do have a fee waiver code for Apply IU for this week because it is College Go Week. So that is INCOLLGO, so IN College Go. Again, INCOLLGO. That's our fee waiver code, which you can use on Apply IU application. We do require an essay with that. So we recommend between 200 and 400 words. You'll submit that with your application. And then we do require your high school transcript. We look at your cumulative GPA and we will accept weighted. And then lastly is those test scores. So again, it's up to you. If you've taken the SAT or ACT and you feel good about your scores, you can share that with us. But if you haven't taken one of those tests or if you don't plan to, or even if you did take the SAT or ACT and you didn't love your score, that's totally fine also. You don't have to share test scores in order to be admitted. On the Apply IU application, when you apply, it will ask if you would like to share test scores with us or not. And so it is up to you if you do want to share those test scores with us. Alice, do you have anything to add for test optional?
Yeah, no, those are great tips, and some students may choose to include or exclude test scores, and we have very specific guidelines on our website that outlines like direct admission guidelines, for students who are applying with test scores versus without test scores. So sure we'll, add that into the chat so you can kind of take a look at those requirements. And again, you don't need to submit test scores for, our scholarships and for direct admission.
Exactly. And for Honors College, which is one of our scholarship programs, they are actually test blind. So they will not review your test scores when they are looking at your Honors College application. So again, if you have a GPA of a 3.75 or higher, we definitely recommend applying to our Honors College. It's one of our top tier merit-based scholarships. So, it can fund tuition, housing. Students can even receive a study abroad stipend, which is money set aside, if and when you ever want to study abroad while you're an IUPUI student. But they are test blind. So that means they do not include test scores in their application for their scholarship. Yep. So another question is, can we schedule a meeting with a coach? So I'm assuming this is for athletics. So for those of you who don't know, we are Division One. We're in the Horizon League. We have 10 women's teams, 8 men. Some of our most popular sports tend to be basketball or soccer, swimming. Swimming, we do have the natatorium on our campus, which is the only Olympic-sized pool in the state of Indiana. So we do host Olympic trials when those come around. Our soccer team does play on Carroll Stadium, which is the same stadium where Indy 11 plays. It's the professional soccer team, in the city of Indianapolis. So we do take a lot of pride in our sports. And again, we are Division One. But Alice, do you want to go ahead and answer that question? If a student is interested in athletics, how would they go about scheduling a meeting with a coach?
Yeah, and the best thing to do is, on our athletics website, we have contact information for all of our coaches based upon, the sport that you may be interested in. We are the IUPUI Jaguars. Again, that's our mascot. So we just encourage you to just connect with the athletics department, and they'll get you connected and reach out to you.
Definitely. And so another question is, if we're accepted while also applying for other schools, how long do we have to confirm or deny? And so our enrollment deposit deadline is May 1st. So you have all the way until May 1. If this is your senior year and you're applying this year, you have until May 1 to make that decision, if you plan to, like you said, commit to IUPUI. So make sure you're getting in your application. If you're interested in living on campus, make sure you submit our housing application as well. We are unique in that we don't require our first year students to live on campus. But if that is something that you're interested in, especially if you're coming from far away, like out of state, then definitely fill out our housing application, which is going to open up in November. It's going to open up on November 1st. And then again, just kind of referencing those scholarships that we mentioned. Honors College, their deadline is November 15th to apply to Honors College. All of our other competitive scholarships, including our diversity scholarships, that deadline is February 15th. So make sure you are, applying for housing if that's something you're interested in, applying to our scholarships. So that way, by the time that May 1st deadline comes up, you've got everything kind of in order. How much you're getting in financial aid. You've got everything set up to help you make that final decision. What are you guys doing? Another question is, does IUPUI transfer college credits? Alice, do you want to answer that one?
I can go ahead and take that. So many of our students that are coming to IUPUI maybe have had an opportunity to take dual credit courses while in high school, so you're able to earn high school and college credit. So IUPUI will recognize college credit as long as it's 100 level or higher from a regionally accredited institution, and there's an equivalent course at IUPUI. And the best thing for a current high school student to do is at the end of their senior year, they can submit their college or university transcript to IUPUI. There's a specific email address where a student would direct those. It's mycredit@iupui.edu, and then we'll evaluate those credits. There's also a tool on our admissions website called the Transfer Rule Catalog, where you can see how a course may transfer to IUPUI. So that's a good tool for you to kind of look at, as you're kind of navigating your high school career. Along those lines, we also accept AP test scores. So if you have scores of 4s and 5s, you can earn, science or math credit. Scores of 3s and higher, you can earn general education credit, and you would send those scores through College Board.
Yep. And so another question is, if you've been accepted, how do you then go about signing up for Kelley School of Business? And so some of our schools, we do have 17 schools total on our campus. Some are IU schools, some are Purdue schools. But for example, the Kelley School of Business, they do offer direct admission. So some of our programs do offer direct admission. And what you can do is go to the website of that school, and it'll show exactly what is required for that specific school to be directly admitted into their program, straight from high school. And so they do have two different types. One is, where they're just looking at your GPA and, also like what type of classes you've been taking in high school. And then they also have one because of our test optional policy where they also incorporate your test scores. So again, you don't have to share test scores with IUPUI in order to be admitted onto a campus or into any of our programs. So all of our schools kind of have two different ways of, being directly admitted into their program. So whether you share test scores or whether you go, the test optional route and choose not to share test scores, you can kind of look to see with each school what their direct admission policy is. And similar for the dental hygiene program as well. So we have another question about the dental hygiene program at IUPUI. Alice, do you want to kind of head up that one? Talk a little bit more about dental hygiene?
Yeah, so in terms of dental hygiene, of course, here in Indiana, you've got the IU School of Dentistry that offers dental assisting, dental hygiene, and the DDS program and different areas of specialty within dentistry. Our dental hygiene program is a fairly competitive program, so students will do 1 year to 2 years of prerequisites and then make application to the dental hygiene program. Kind of in recent years, they're admitting about 25 students into the program, and students have access to a brand new Fritz Dental Care Clinic that opened up a couple years ago. So it's, cutting edge technology, and students who are in the dental hygiene program, they're gaining experiences as if they were in a dental practice, working alongside current dental students and then dental faculty members. And they're always looking for new patients at the dental school. So if you want to help our fellow students graduate, you can become a patient over at the dental school. And students will start off, with their admission to IUPUI when they list dental hygiene on their application. Students admitted to IUPUI, they'll start in what's called University College, which is our general division at IUPUI, and they have clusters of advisors that work with students who are applying to health and life sciences programs.
And we also have another question about our scholarship opportunities. So asking if there is a specific list of scholarship opportunities at IUPUI. And the answer to that is yes. At IUPUI, we do have, generally speaking, 3 different types of our scholarship opportunities. One would be our admissions-based scholarships. So those are ones that are automatically awarded to the student, based off of your application. So as long as you apply to IUPUI by February 15th, you're automatically considered for these awards. Some are merit-based, which means they're looking at your GPA, and then some are need-based, which means they're making that decision based off of your FAFSA information or your family income. And then we also have our honors college, which, I've mentioned before, but if your GPA is a 3.75 or higher, definitely recommend applying to honors college. It's our top merit-based scholarships. They do have the earliest scholarship deadline. You do want to apply to Honors College by November 15th. So if you're a senior this year, make sure you apply by November 15th. You do have to be admitted to IUPUI before you can apply to our scholarships, including Honors College. So, encouraging you to submit the application as soon as possible so that way you can then apply to Honors College, if you meet that criteria. And then lastly would be our competitive scholarships, which also includes our diversity scholarships. So those are ones where you do have to complete a separate application. And the deadline to apply to those for incoming freshmen is February 15th. And again, you do have to be admitted to IUPUI first before you can apply to our competitive scholarships. So once you're admitted, you'll get an email with kind of next steps, and one of those will direct you to our scholarship portal. So that way you can go in, filter through, because it lists all of our scholarship opportunities for incoming freshmen, and then you can kind of pick and choose all the different scholarships that you're eligible for and the ones that you want to apply to. So there is a specific list of scholarships, and you can apply to those once you're admitted to IUPUI. Anything to add, Alice, about scholarships?
No, I think you covered it thoroughly. That's perfect.
Okay. Good. One of the next questions is how to schedule a visit on campus. Alice, do you want to?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So many students are, coming to visit campus this year. Our students started, classes a few weeks ago here at IUPUI. So it's, lots happening on campus. But we encourage students to schedule a visit on our admissions website, admissions.iupui.edu. We have daily tours throughout the week, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. tours. It's a 90-minute walking tour of campus. You can also choose to meet with an academic unit who may be offering information sessions. There's also some academic units that are also offering kind of hands-on experiences, and you can kind of find all those different options through our admissions website. There are also Saturday tours. The upcoming Saturday tours that we have are September 25th, October 16th, October 23rd, and November 13th. So I know those tend to fill up quickly. So just register online at your earliest convenience. The other thing I'm thinking of are open house opportunities that are taking place on Fridays in October 15th, 22nd, and 29th. They're kind of a fuller day programming. We get to connect with an admissions professional. You'll get to hear from current students. And there'll be kind of like a resource fair where you can hear from academic units and different departments on campus.
Great, thank you. And so another question is, if you're interested in talking to someone about a specific major, how would you get into contact with someone for that? And so if there's a specific school or major that you're interested in and you want to learn more about that program, maybe their direct admission, what type of classes you would need to take, or, even talk with current students who are in that program. The majority of our schools do have their own admissions representative or an admissions counselor who can talk to you more about that program. All of our schools have one. So for example, if you're interested in the Kelley School of Business and you're looking at some of those majors, or if you want to talk to someone from the School of Engineering and Technology, all of those schools do have their own admissions representative that you can reach out to, and they can, provide tours, visit campus. They have their own, like you've been admitted, learn more about our programs. They host their own events often on campus as well, host student panels, and they can get you connected with the program, research or internship opportunities. So yeah, each one of our schools does have someone that you can reach out to, their own admissions counselor, and you can find that person on their website.
Yeah. And sometimes, always, I'm happy to also connect with families or students, if you can go to meet your admissions counselor on the admissions website, and you can say, hey, I'm interested in speaking with, School of Informatics and Computing, and we'd be happy to get you connected with that person too if you need help that way.
Yep. Another question is, when will you know about your financial aid? So typically our financial aid packages will begin going out in mid-December. You can begin filing your FAFSA as early as October 1. So make sure you're filing your FAFSA so that you're considered for, like any state, federal aid. If you're from the state of Indiana and you're a 21st Century Scholar, make sure you're filing that FAFSA. That's how you'll receive that scholarship. But then our financial aid packages will begin going out mid-December. So the sooner that you file your FAFSA and the sooner that you apply to all of our different scholarships, the sooner you'll kind of get that breakdown of, how much you're being offered in financial aid, from scholarships, grants, any loans that you're being offered. Those will begin going out mid-December to our students who've been admitted. So again, file your FAFSA, as soon as possible. That's going to open up October 1. Honors College deadline's November 15th. And then for all of our other competitive and diversity scholarships, that deadline is February 15th. So that, the sooner you apply and get your applications in, the sooner you'll have that FAFSA information. Anything to add to that, Alice, for financial aid?
Yeah, and with financial, I just realized even if you get your financial award notification in December, if you're applying to additional scholarships or if you have external scholarships that are being submitted, that's, something that can continually change in terms of your financial, award notification. And our financial aid office will continue to update that information as we receive that.
Yep. And I do have some other questions more pertaining to the application. So one is asking, if you feel like you're missing some requirements for the application, but you are a senior in high school, maybe what should you do next? Would I need to submit my SAT score to stand out? Whether or not you should or should not submit test scores. So Alice, I don't know if you wanted to kind of answer both of those of, what a student should do their senior year, to make their application the most competitive, or, if they're on the fence of, should I share test scores or not, or if I haven't taken the test yet, like kind of what would you recommend?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in the senior year, I mean, I know like sometimes, we may say, okay, you need to have Core 40 completed, and we're looking for, certain classes completed, and maybe, that you're enrolled in those classes. The admissions decision that we're making is based on you completing out the courses that you've listed on your application to IUPUI. So if we, yeah, and we just want to, make sure that you do well in those courses. So that's kind of contingent on, you doing well, and your admission will remain as long as those things are met. Some students, maybe they are wanting to include their test scores when they're applying to IUPUI. And that may be a reason for you to delay when you apply, but you can always apply without test scores. And then if you decide to submit those at a later date, you can just change your decision and just let us know. But the sooner that you apply, the sooner that you can get a decision from IUPUI in terms of like next steps. In terms of having a strong GPA, I mean, you can always include your SAT or ACT test scores if you feel like they're, representative of your academic ability. And then your academic advisor and the admissions committee would have access to that information.
Definitely. And so also getting some questions about maybe more the logistical part of the application. So, how to send transcripts, or, how to apply through maybe say the Common App. So if you are sending us your high school transcript, you want it to come directly from the counseling department at your school. So if your school uses Parchment or Naviance, you can send it to us directly through there. So we will accept it through Parchment, and through Naviance. That's the easiest way, to send it digitally. But, it does have to come directly from the counseling department at your school. And we are on the Common App. So we're on 2 different application platforms. You don't have to do both. You just pick whichever one is most convenient to you. One would be the Common App. So, the Common App is used nationally. So there's hundreds of schools that are on the Common App. You can apply to us through there. And then we also have our own application platform, which is Apply IU. And that one is used IU system-wide. So all IU campuses are on there. So you can apply to us, IUPUI. You can apply to IU Bloomington. There's 9 IU campuses across the state of Indiana. You could apply to all 9 using the Apply IU application. But again, you don't have to do both, whichever one works best for you. So either the Common App or Apply IU. We are offering a fee waiver code this week because it is College Go Week. And that one is only good for Apply IU. So that is one advantage of using the Apply IU application platform is that you can use our fee waiver code. That is good for this week. So it's all capital letters, all one word, INCOLLGO. But that fee waiver code will waive your application to IUPUI if you use the Apply IU platform. And then, once you submit your application, you will receive an email confirmation. So whatever email address you use to apply to us, make sure that's the one that you're checking the most. Because, if we're missing any materials, so if we haven't received your high school transcript, if you to get communication from us about the status of your application, once you've been admitted, it's all going to go to that email address that you used when you submitted your application to us. So that's kind of how you'll keep track of it and make sure, your application was submitted successfully, as, make sure that you're checking that email address that you used to apply. Another question is about 21st Century Scholars. So that 21st Century Scholarship and what that covers. Alice, do you want to take that one?
Okay, sure. Yeah, so the 21st Century Scholars Program at IUPUI covers 4 years of tuition for Indiana residents. And it also allows students to have an application fee waived when they're using the Apply IU application. So we do have a dedicated 21st Century Scholars office on our campus to help students who are at IUPUI to navigate different resources on campus, to receive academic support, and help students fulfill all the requirements that are needed for the 21st Century Scholarship. I know students generally need to complete about 30 credit hours in an academic year to maintain their scholarships and be in good academic standing.
Very good. So another question that we have is about, the GPA and, if you ever had a drop in your GPA, especially with, the pandemic, and schools going online, and if that affected your GPA, and how to address that. And so with IUPUI, we do mainly look at your cumulative GPA. So we're looking at all of your semesters combined. We look at that cumulative GPA. We will accept weighted. So if you have a weighted GPA, that's the one that we'll look at. But if you do feel like you have a dip in your GPA, maybe where one semester it dropped, it could be due to the pandemic. It could be due to personal reasons. I would say that's a great topic to address in your essay. The essay is required for all of our applicants. You'll submit that with your application. We recommend between 200 and 400 words, which is basically a paragraph. But really, it's up to you to kind of choose the topic of your application. Of your essay. So talk about what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, things that, if you're involved in anything in school, or if you know what you want to major in. But oftentimes students will also use that essay to, address those areas of, maybe your GPA did drop, because of the pandemic and school was going online. That's a good topic to address in your essay because, and how you overcame that. Because it shows to us that, you're taking it seriously. These are things that you've considered and you're aware of, but you're looking to, build in the future and, progress and kind of show, that you've been growing since then. But that's what I would recommend. So if you are worried about your GPA or if there was a semester or a year where it dipped, don't be afraid to address that in your essay and kind of use that to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Allison, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, and the admissions committee will see, your coursework throughout your years of study, and they'll, be able to see like the trends and recognize, during the pandemic when, many schools had gone online, virtual, and, the impact, that had on students and courses. And the admissions committee can look at your essay to make a decision and get more information. And sometimes they may say, well, let's see how you do first semester. We'll wait until you receive your first semester grades to then make a decision.
And I see we're also getting some questions about like transfer credits or dual credits. So, if you're taking dual credit courses in high school, it depends on where they're coming from. So one is if they are coming from an IU campus. So if you are currently at another IU campus, outside of IUPUI, so like IU South Bend or IU East, or if you're taking dual credits in high school and those credits are coming from an IU campus, anything that is coming from an IU campus, you don't have to do anything on your end to send those to us. They'll already be on your transcript with us. So we'll see those courses. We'll see what grade you have in there in that class. And it'll actually be the GPA that you start out with at IUPUI. So anything that you've done from another IU campus, that will automatically follow you. There's nothing that you have to do on your end to share those with us. If your dual credit or your transfer credits are coming from another university, so for example, Ivy Tech or Vincennes, anything like that, as long as you received a grade of a C or higher, we will accept those credit hours. And so what you want to do is make sure you send us your official college transcript from that university or college. So not just your high school transcript, but also the official transcript from that school. So if they're coming from, let's say, Ivy Tech, then just make sure you send us your Ivy Tech transcript, and then we'll put that onto your Ivy Tech or your IUPUI transcript. And again, as long as it's a C or higher, we will accept those credit hours. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to add anything to that with dual credit or transfer credit?
Yeah, I would say, when it's an IU credit, the GPA carries over. However, when it's a transfer credit outside of the IU system, the credit comes over as long as, we accept the credit. However, the grade doesn't reflect on your transcript. So it's not included in the grade point average.
Let's see, other questions. Okay, this is a good one. So if you've already admitted into IUPUI with a major from, let's say, the Kelley School of Business, are you already admitted into the Kelley School of Business? And so that's a really great question. So some of our schools do offer direct admission into their programs, and then some of them do not. So for example, let's say you're looking at the Kelley School of Business. Kelley School of Business does offer direct admissions. However, their direct admissions requirements into their program are going to look a little bit different from the general admissions onto the IUPUI campus. So it is possible that you were admitted into IUPUI and are directly admitted into the Kelley School of Business. But it's also possible that you've been admitted to IUPUI and then are considered what we call pre-business, which means you're not in the Kelley School of Business yet, but you are a business major. And then when that happens, if you are like pre whatever your major is, so like pre-business or pre-engineering, that just means during your first year or first 2 years at IUPUI, you're going to use those classes to then be admitted into your program. So let's say if you're pre-business, then your freshman year at IUPUI, you would then take the classes necessary and then apply into the Kelley School of Business program. And then we do also have some schools on our campus that do not offer direct admission. One of those would be like our nursing program. So nursing doesn't on our campus, our nursing program does not offer direct admission. All students who put their major as nursing on their application during their freshman year are pre-nursing, and during that first year at IUPUI, you're taking all the prerequisite courses you need to get into the nursing program. So, for example, our nursing students, they take anatomy. You have to take human biology, and then towards the end of your freshman year, you're then going to apply to get into the nursing program. So it's a really good question because some of our schools do offer direct admission, and then some of them do not offer direct admission. And then during your first year or second year at IUPUI, you then apply to get into that program. But generally, either way, you're taking the same classes. So whether you're business or pre-business, you're taking the exact same classes, for your degree. It's just a matter of when you get admitted into your program. Is there anything you want to add to that, Alice?
Yeah, I was just going to elaborate a little bit more on the IU School of Nursing application.
Yep.
Alyssa mentioned that there's different prerequisites that you would complete, and it's important to complete at least half or more of your prerequisites either on IUPUI's campus, IU Bloomington, or IU Fort Wayne to be in what's called our priority admission category. And that's where we generally will accept, students into the nursing program. And it's in that second semester of your freshman year that you'll apply. And we admit about 100 for the fall cohort and then 100 for the spring cohort. And once you're in, it's a 3-year program to complete out your bachelor's degree. But it's really important to complete at least half your prerequisites on one of those key campuses. Of course, prefer for you to come to IUPUI and complete them. And it is a competitive program based on your overall cumulative GPA, science and math GPA. There's a TEAS test that you'll also have to take as part of the application process.
Yep, very good. So another question is, does the fee waiver code work on the Common App? And unfortunately, it does not. Our fee waiver code only works on the Apply IU application. So we are offering a fee waiver code for this week. It is College Go Week. You'll use that on the Apply IU application, and it's INCOLLGO. So all capital letters, all one word. But that is the fee waiver code for this week. It'll waive your application to IUPUI on the Apply IU platform. Another question is, if you've been accepted, what are next steps? So Alice, do you want to take that one?
Yeah. So once a student has been admitted to IUPUI, currently at the stage in the senior year, what we're encouraging students to do is to set up their technology account so that they can access the scholarship portal and apply to different scholarship opportunities that are available at IUPUI. Some of those deadlines are as early as November 15th for the Honors College. So any student who has at least a 3.75 GPA or higher may apply to the Honors College for consideration of, many of the competitive-based scholarships that are offered there. We also encourage you in October to submit your FAFSA application. This is for consideration of loans that you'll pay back at a reduced interest rate, grants or monies that you don't have to pay back, work study would be specific jobs on campus. You can utilize that money to pay for your academic expenses. We are encouraging you to come visit campus if you've not had an opportunity to do that. So there's a variety of visit options that you can find: daily tours, academic unit sessions, hands-on experiences, or maybe you want to learn more about your academic program or major. You can connect with either your admissions counselor to find out who the recruiter is for that academic school, to have an appointment with them, whether it's virtual or in person. Those are some of the options that are available for students. And then come November, that's when our housing application opens up for students. So any student who's planning to live on campus can apply for housing. There's a $50 application fee. And so applying for housing doesn't mean that you've committed to IUPUI or that you are planning to live on campus. But what that means is once contracts start going out in usually early April, you'll be offered a contract at that time. And yeah, the housing options, on campus, can be limited. So that's why we encourage students to apply as early as possible to maybe get their first choice or preference to live in one of our residential-based learning communities. So those are probably some of the key next steps as you're kind of looking at your first semester or so of your senior year. Later on down the line, like placement tests to take and navigating orientation, meeting, and those generally take place in the spring. Orientation registration happens in spring, with orientation dates usually in the summertime, June and July, and that's when students will get their placement test results, meet with their academic advisor, determine what classes to take. And then, I guess one of the other next steps is submitting your enrollment deposit by May 1st. But again, that's still a little further on down the line. Some students, maybe who've already decided that they want to come to IUPUI, are welcome to submit their $100 enrollment deposit, and that serves as a credit towards your fall bill. I don't know. Alyssa, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think you hit all the strong ones. So if you've already been admitted to IUPUI, just make sure you're staying up to date on all those other dates and deadlines that are coming up. So like you mentioned, the housing application that's going to open up on November 1st. So if you are interested at all in living on campus, make sure you complete that. They do work on a first come, first served basis. So the sooner you get your application in, the more likely you are to receive your top pick as far as, which residence hall that you end up living in. And then also, of course, the scholarship. So honors college, their deadline is November 15th. All of our other competitive scholarships, including our diversity scholarships, is going to be February 15th. So I would say those are the key next steps. Of course, filing your FAFSA, so that way that information gets sent to us and can be a part of your financial aid package. But those would be the main, next steps, with your application if you've been admitted. Yep. One of another question that we have is, for a student who might have some international education experience. So if you've have attended high school outside the United States, or whether you graduated or partially, but are now a resident of the United States or are currently living here in the United States, do you need to take the SAT or ACT in order to be admitted? That's a really great question. So the we're test optional for all students. So, if you mentioned that you are, currently living in the United States, you are a permanent resident. So even though you did do high school, outside of the United States, or have some of that international experience, we are still test optional. So again, it's up to you if you want to share those test scores with us or not. Is there anything that you want to add, for students, Alice, who might have some international education?
Yeah, I think it's just, submitting those official transcripts to ECE, and they'll process the transcripts. But yeah, the SAT is not required for students. So I would say if it's, it sounds like if school's been a little, it's been a while since the international education has taken place, you don't have to take it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. So we are still test optional. It's not a requirement, the SAT or ACT. Let's see. What is the GPA needed for an academic scholarship? Alice, do you want to take that one?
Yeah. I think, scholarship requirements can vary. depending upon the scholarships that you're looking at. So some of our competitive-based scholarships, maybe they'll say like a 3.0 GPA, if you've done community service. There's some diversity scholarships that, like the Norman Brown Diversity and Leadership Scholars Program, may say like 3.2 GPA, and then you're eligible to apply. Some, are based upon students' art portfolio that is submitted with their Heron application. I know here in Indiana, our admission-based scholarships, usually start at 3.5 and higher. Those are the automatic scholarships that are renewable each year as long as student maintains full-time enrollment and maintains a 3.0 GPA. Mm-hmm. And no separate applications required for like the admission-based scholarships, but other competitive-based scholarships will require them. So yeah, it depends on the scholarship, what GPAs, or what factors, are going to be utilized in making a determination for that scholarship. And some, may require an interview as part of the scholarship process.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Another question we have is, how inclusive is the campus when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, minorities, students of color, etc.? And I would say we are a very inclusive campus. We do have our multicultural center, which houses a lot of our student organizations. As far as like our Latino Student Association, our Black Student Union. We also have our LGBTQ plus center, which they also have a student organization, as well as offering resources and different events and programs on campus that you can be a part of. So for example, say you are interested in Greek life. We do have 2 Latina sororities on our campus, 1 Latino fraternity. We have some multicultural fraternities. If you're interested in the Divine Nine, I know 8 of the Divine Nine are on our campus, as well as offering different scholarship opportunities as well, for our students who come from, historically underrepresented backgrounds or from marginalized backgrounds. So like Alice mentioned, our Norman Brown Scholarship, that is for students who do come from an underrepresented background. So a lot of Black Latino students will apply to that scholarship program. And it is academic based. So it's for our high achieving students, but it's also a scholarship or a leadership and mentorship program. So not only are students receiving those scholarship funds, but they are also getting involved with leadership opportunities, mentorship opportunities, so that way they're staying connected and building a community on campus. So there's a lot of different ways to be involved. If you're looking at access and equity or social justice, we even have a program called Social Justice Scholars, that's exactly what they do, is they look at different social issues or current issues, whether it be on the IUPUI campus or within the state, or if you're looking nationally, globally, and they kind of tackle and address those issues. But it is also a scholarship program. So it's students who are working in that field, who, are passionate about these issues, and, want to help make a difference. But it's also a scholarship program as well. And anyone can be a part of the Social Justice Scholars. It's just having that passion and that interest. Anything you want to add, Alice, as far as, working with diverse populations or underrepresented student populations?
Yeah, I think IUPUI, in terms of diverse student populations, we have like nearly a third of our students, who are from diverse backgrounds, and students, take advantage of opportunities that, are available in the Multicultural Center, the LGBTQ plus Center, DEEP, the Diversity Enrichment Achievement Program is a great opportunity for students to, get connected, and try to figure out how to navigate campus. They also have a deep residential-based learning community where students can live with other students, and have that same, academic and residential support on campus.
That's true. Yeah. In our LGBTQ plus center, they also have a residential based learning community. Yeah. Which is called Community, with a Q, Community. But yeah, it's, living with your roommate and those around you who, have opted to be a part of that space. So, whether you identify within the community, they are also inclusive with gender. So if you're gender nonconforming or non-binary, that whole residential-based learning community is meant to be a supportive and a safe space. And then I also forgot to mention, but we also have our adaptive educational services on our campus. AES is what we call them, what we call the office. But it's for any student who has like a documented disability, and was looking for resources or support. So, if in high school or at school, if you ever had like a 504 or an IEP, that we offer services and support for our students on our campus. So if there's ever anything you need from an ability standpoint, we have a whole office on our campus that's there to support you and offer resources and programming, so that way you're successful, on our campus and in your classes and in your academics. Anything you want to add, Alice? I know we talked
I know,
a lot.
I think a lot of information. That's good.
Yep, that's true. Let's see. So can we still submit our application this week, even if our high school isn't able to send transcripts this week? Yes, you can. And generally that is what you'll do. You'll submit sorry, my headphones. You'll submit your application first. And then once you have that submitted, then go ahead and send us your high school transcript. Yes, you can go ahead and submit your application now. And then, once your guidance office or your counselor office is able to send those, just get those to us, as soon as you can. But yes, you can definitely go ahead and submit your application now. Another question is Michigan resident. Can a Michigan resident receive in-state tuition? So it's a really good question. Alice, do you want to tackle like MSCP and yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for our students who are from Michigan, we have a Michigan Student Excellence Award. That's a scholarship program that results in like a 56.9% reduction in your non-resident tuition. So it will be a little closer to like $15,000 per academic year for tuition and fees that a student would pay, who's like either from Michigan, who's receiving the Michigan Excellence Award. And as long as the student meets a minimum GPA of a 3.0, and at the time that you apply, you'll automatically be awarded the Student Excellence Award. So there's not a need to submit a separate application for that. And then IUPUI is also part of the Midwest Student Exchange Program. So students who are from Illinois, Ohio, and other states who are part of a Midwest Student Exchange Program, part of those states would be eligible for a reduced tuition as well. For the MSEP, again, it's renewable each year, and you just have to apply to IUPUI, and as long as you're from one of the states that's part of the MSEP program, you'll be offered that award, and it'll be included in your financial aid notification. So maybe it's not exactly in-state tuition, but it's very much reduced, because for any in-state Indiana resident, tuition is about $10,000. So you're just paying a few $1,000s extra if you're part of the Midwest Student Exchange Program or Michigan Excellence Award, whereas like our general non-resident tuition for students that are not part of those programs would be like $30,000 per year for non-resident tuition and fees.
So another question we have is, how many weeks after acceptance should we get our packet in the mail? And what is all included in the packet? And so, if you've been admitted, I would say the first thing to do is always make sure you're checking your email first, because typically the same day that you're admitted, you will get that email that says like, hey, congratulations, you've been admitted. Here are some next steps. And so whichever email address you used to apply to IUPUI, make sure you're checking that one. And then we will also send that admissions packet in the mail. Generally takes about 3 to 4 weeks. I know with the pandemic and whatnot, mail has generally been slower, so it can take a little bit longer than that, up to about 4 to 6 weeks at max. So just being patient with the mail service. But yeah, we will send that packet in the mail as well, with all of kind of your next steps. So it'll have like your student ID number, so that way you can create your IU account if you haven't done so, and it'll kind of list all those next steps. So how to apply to scholarships, how to apply for housing. If you've been awarded any of our admissions-based scholarships, that'll be included in your packet, so that way you have information about that. But yeah, we'll just kind of outline all those different next steps, that we've mentioned today. So scholarships, housing, the enrollment deposit, which is May 1st. So, giving you plenty of time to make that decision. But yeah, make sure you're checking the email address, because that's probably where, that's where you'll get that information first. And then we will send that packet in the mail, which can take a couple weeks to receive. Mm-hmm. Anything you want to add to that, Alice, about?
Yeah. And I know a lot of times students are eager to wait for, the admissions packet to arrive. However, if you're also eager to like take some next steps and figure out what to do while you're waiting, on our website, we also have a tab, for students who've been admitted to IUPUI, and that'll help you, walk through kind of those key next steps. You can always reach out to the admissions office or your admissions counselor if you're waiting for the packet and you don't yet have your university ID. Maybe you're trying to figure out like, how was I admitted to IUPUI? Scholarships awarded, or just need clarification. We're happy to answer any of those questions for you.
Yep, that's a good point. Yeah, all of our next steps are listed on our website as well. So, like while you're waiting for that packet, you can always go on the website and it'll kind of walk you through there, or reach out to one of us and we can help you through those next steps as well. And it usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks to hear back. So once we have your application and all your required materials, generally 4 to 6 weeks is about the length. Before you get that email of like, hey, you've been admitted, congratulations, here's your next steps. So that's kind of what that timeline looks like there. Another great question is, what if I don't know what I want to major in? What should I do then? Alice, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So IUPUI has 550 programs, that students can select from at the undergraduate level. So that's, what that means is you have lots of opportunities on our campus if you're undecided. And even if a student is listing a major on their application, they say the average college-bound student does change their major anywhere from 2 to 4 times over the course of their college career. And that's okay. Or you can list undecided or exploratory on your application. So students who list that would be, if they're eligible for admission to IUPUI, they would start in what's called University College, which is our general division at IUPUI. And there's a cluster of academic advisors that specifically work with our students who are undecided or exploratory. And there's like themed learning communities to help students kind of explore different opportunities on campus, or figure out like maybe what career or major would best fit their interests, needs, values. And, again, taking courses that are introductory in a particular major will also help you kind of get more information like there's an intro to social work class, or there's, the beginning engineering class that students may take. And, we have advisors that will help you navigate through that process. And during your senior year, you can also attend like different academic unit sessions or connect with our academic recruiters to learn more about those programs. But once you're an IUPUI student, you still have access to those individuals. And oftentimes they have information sessions to promote their programs so students can learn more about the different opportunities on campus. And some students may double major in accounting and finance, or some students may have a primary major and still be able to add a liberal arts degree called our Liberal Arts Advantage and still graduate within 4 years. And you can add minors or certificates to a primary major. So I think the possibilities are limitless, at IUPUI. And, your advisors, your faculty members, they'll help you through the process.
Yes, for sure. And so we are getting a couple of questions about housing, especially about our apartment style housing. So just kind of generally go over our housing. So our application is going to open up on November 1st. Like I mentioned, first-year students are not required to live on campus. It is up to you. If that is something that you're interested in, you definitely want to make sure that you fill out our housing application, which is going to open up November 1st. And then March 15th is our priority deadline. But it does work on a first come, first serve basis. So the sooner you can get your application in, the more likely you are to receive your top pick. We do have 4 residence halls on our campus, all the way from, that traditional residence hall, where you might have multiple roommates, shared bathroom on the floor, to that apartment style, where you have your own bedroom, bathroom, living room, kitchen. It's basically an apartment, but it's an apartment on campus. Freshman students are allowed to, pick their, rank their top choices. If that apartment style is your number 1, you are allowed to rank that as your number 1, those what we call our Riverwalk apartments. We do give preference to upperclassmen, but it is possible for a freshman student or first-year student to live in the Riverwalk apartments as well. The one that tends to be the most popular for our first year students is actually our tower. That one is a freshman only residence hall, but it is the closest to the majority of our academic buildings, closest to our campus center. It also has dining options on the first and second floor. And so that one does tend to be the most popular one. It was a 4-star hotel that they then converted into a residence hall. So students really like that one because all students have their ensuite bathroom. So everyone has their own bathroom in the tower. And so that one does tend to be the most popular one. But if you are interested in living on campus, you do want to fill out that housing application, which is going to open up on November 1st. You do have to be admitted to IUPUI before you can complete the housing application. So just be aware of that. And then on your application, you just rank your top choices. So if the Riverwalk Apartments is your number one, you rank that as number one. If Tower's second, you kind of do that. And again, it's first come, first serve. So the sooner you get the application in, the more likely you are to receive your top pick. Anything you want to add, Alice, about housing? Try to kind of go over all of it.
Yeah, no, and I think even if you don't get your top pick, I mean, just remember being flexible, in regards to the housing contract. I know some years, like certain halls are like really hot, everyone wants to live, in one, or everyone wants like the individual, apartment or individual room. And there's only so many, individual options. And, there's only so many slots in each, residence hall. Just
Very
true. Flexible. And if you're selecting a residential-based learning community, sometimes they're only in specific halls. So
yes, very true. Yep. Yeah. So if you're an honors college and you want to live in their residential-based learning community, for the first year, I believe they're in Tower. If you're a part of our diversity enrichment and achievement program, which is our academic and mentorship program, for students who come from diverse backgrounds. Theirs is in North Hall. So again, if you're interested in one of our residential-based learning communities, we have one that's focused on STEM. I mentioned our community, which is for our LGBTQ plus students. Then you can kind of look to see, which residence hall they're in. And of course, then that would place you there. Another question, doing visits on campus. Do you want to answer that one, Alice? So, if a student wants to come visit campus, how they should go about doing that?
Yeah, so IUPUI is currently hosting on-campus visits for prospective students and families. We have on our admissions website a visits tab where you can register for options. So one of our options that we have are campus tours. They take place Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. And then on select Saturdays at 10 a.m. So we encourage you to, go online and register for those tours. You can also choose to include an academic unit session if your academic program of interest is hosting one. So that's usually between the noon and 1 p.m. time frame. Or maybe you want a more hands-on experience with your unit. And those would generally be in the latter part of the afternoon. So you could kind of encompass your tour along with an academic unit session as well as a hands-on experience. Or maybe you want to come for one of our open houses that's taking place in October. They're on Fridays, October 15th, October 22nd, and October 29th. They're kind of full day programs where you get to connect with an admissions representative, hear from current students, connect with academic units, and kind of a resource academic fair. So we just encourage you to sign up online for any of those opportunities that I've shared. Alyssa, did you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think you covered all of them. We definitely encourage students to visit campus if you haven't done so already. Especially, if you're considering applying or if you've already applied, it's going to help you make that final decision, once that enrollment deposit deadline comes around May 1st. Another question we have is, do you need to submit a letter of recommendation along with your application? And to answer that is we don't require letters of recommendation. If you have some, we definitely encourage you to submit those. It can always help boost your application, but again, it's not a requirement. And again, just to reiterate, we do have a fee waiver code that we're offering this week because it is College Go Week. So if you're applying on the Apply IU platform, we will waive the $65 application fee. It's INCOLLGO. That is our fee waiver code. Again, it's good all week for College Go Week. Make sure you're using the Apply IU application. And again, that fee waiver code is INCOLLGO. Yeah, with your application, you will have that essay. We don't require letters of recommendation, but if you have them, definitely add those to there, kind of help boost up your application. And then we are test optional. So again, it's up to you if you want to share your test scores with us or not. Anything you want to add about that or the application? No. Okay, good. And so we have been getting, we have a couple more minutes left, but we have been getting some questions about different programs. So, like forensics or computer science or engineering. If students have specific questions about a major or a program, Alice, what would you recommend that they do to kind of learn more information about that major or that school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so I know, like for the School of Engineering and Technology, my colleague Katrin Danielson's the recruiter for that school. You can find contact information either on the School of Engineering and Technology's website or on our admissions website. If you select meet your counselor, we'll be able to get you connected with who the recruiter is for a particular program. And with science, I know it's Lori Hart is the recruiter for that school. And with those majors that you just mentioned, I know like if you're studying science, engineering, or technology, you'll generally be earning a Purdue University degree. And then everything else is an Indiana University degree. Although there's a few exceptions, like music technology and music therapy happen to be IU degree programs within the Purdue School of Engineering and Technology. Yeah, I know they'd be happy to, the recruiters with the academic schools would be happy to meet with you and share more details about their programs, whether it's forensic science or computer science, or any of the 550 programs on our campus.
Yes, for sure. So it is 8 o'clock. So thank you all again for joining us. Hopefully we were able to answer all of your questions, but if you do still have some questions or anything that you want to follow up on, click that link there to contact your admissions counselor. We would love to help you. We've also listed our email and our phone number. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us and we can help you along with those next steps. Again, my name is Alyssa Luna and this is Alice Matuk. We both work in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. And thank you all for joining us this evening.
Have a great evening. Bye.
Bye-bye.